Hello and good morning, students. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Alright, I hope so everyone is in a good health. So today we are going to continue with our previous topics, which is the functional group. So before we start our class today, let's just recite the rules for my lessons today. So first, you must always turn on your web camera because I cannot see you physically. So I hope by turning on your camera, I can see your reactions during my class, especially when we are in the middle of the lessons. I can see whether you are still with me or you already lost in your own thoughts. And then second, I want you to prepare your own paper and pen, or you can use your tablet or an iPad, because by right of you need to write your own notes, and we will do some activities together. So please do prepare a paper and pen or your tablet or an iPad. Now, students, before we go into our topic for today, let's just recall on what we have learned previously. So students, do you still remember what we have learned before?
Yes.
Right? Thank you, students. So how many hydrocarbons have we covered?
3.
Thank you, Mihumaira, and thank you, everyone. So we have covered on 3 hydrocarbons, which are the alkane group, we have the alkene group, and then we have the alkyne group. So what about the root name? If I have 4 carbon chain, what is the root name of this compound? Can I have Nurul Ain Balkis?
Yes, Miss. Put.
Alright, thank you, Nurul Ain Balkis. So that is correct. So for 1 carbon atom, the root name is meth. For 2 carbon atom, the root name is F. For 3 carbon atom, the root name is prop. 4 carbon atom is but. 5 carbon atom is hex. 6 carbon atom is hex. So I hope you still remember on what we have learned, because the previous knowledge, we will use it in today's lesson. So students, before we start, can you describe me what do you see on the slides?
Hand sanitizer.
Alright, thank you everyone. So this is a picture of hand sanitizer. So if we talk about hand sanitizer, what comes to your mind?
It contains alcohol, Miss.
Alright, thank you Mahimaira, and thank you Nura and Baki. So hand sanitizer contains alcohol. Can someone give me other examples on an alcohol except hand sanitizer? Can I have Batrisha?
Beverages and also bleach.
Alright, thank you Batrisha. So that is correct. So we have beverages, which is the alcoholic drink. So please don't drink, students, because you are still underage, and of course it is haram for you, and most important thing, it is not good for your health. And then we have the bleach. Bleach is also an example of an alcohol. So students, the reason why I show you this picture is because I want you to know that each alcohol have their own specific name and structure, and especially as the chemists, they don't really like to call the general name of the alcohol, which is, as you said earlier, hand sanitizer, the beverages, or the bleach. They prefer to call it by using the specific name. So today, I'm going to teach you in more depth about the hydrocarbon alcohol, and we're going to learn about the structure and how to name each alcohol compound. So before we start with our lessons, let's just take a look at the learning objective that I hope you are able to obtain by the end of my lesson today. So first, when given a condensed formula of alcohol, you should be able to draw each structure of the alcohol correctly. Second, when given 2 molecular structure of alcohol, you should be able to state the name of all the compound accurately using the IUPAC nomenclature that I'm going to teach you later. And the third one is, when given the structural formula of alcohol, you should be able to construct the molecular formula of the compound correctly. So I hope you pay your utmost attention to my lessons today, and let us achieve the learning objective together. Now, let's move to our main lessons for today, which is alcohol. So what is the hydrocarbon alcohol? Alcohol is the organic compound containing the hydroxyl group, which is the OH group. And the general formula for alcohol is ROH. And Another general formula for alcohol is CnH2n plus 1 OH. So if we draw the structure of an alcohol, it will be like this. So R will represent as the alkyl group, and the alkyl group will be attached to the hydroxyl group, which is the OH. And the example of an alcohol is the methanol and the propanol. So by the end of these lessons, if you see any compound that ends with "ol", you should be able to identify that that compound is a hydroxyl group and it is an alcohol. So before we go further, can someone point out what is the different structure of an alkane group and the hydroxyl group? Can I have Zulaika Sofia?
Alcohol have OH at the end of the carbon chain.
Alright, thank you Zulaika Sofia. So that is correct. So for the alkane group, the alkyl will be attached to the alkyl group. Meanwhile, for the alcohol, the end of the carbon chain will be attached to the hydroxyl group, which is the OH. Now, what about the similarities? Can I have Nurul Islamiza?
Yes, miss. The similarities is both only have one bond.
Alright, thank you Nurul Islamiza. So that is correct. Both alcohol and the alkane group is only attached with one bond molecule. So now, let's move to our next lesson, which is the naming rules of the alcohol compound by using the IUPAC nomenclature. So I have listed out the naming rules into 5 steps in total. So the first step is to draw the structural formula for the compound. The second step is to identify the longest carbon chain containing the hydroxyl group. The third step is to derive the name of the alkane. The fourth step is to replace the suffix "e" in alkane with "ol". The last step is to count the molecular formula. So if I just deliver it to you by just talking, of course I understand you won't be able to imagine it. So now students, please take out a piece of paper and let's do on one examples together. So the compound I show you is CH3, CH2, CH2OH. Can you draw out the structure and show it to the screen, please? Alright, I can see Islamiza's answer, Nur Batrisha, Nur Ain Balkis, Nur Hazira Umi Humara, and Zulaika Sofia. Alright, so thank you everyone. So the structure that you have drawn are correct. So we have the carbon atom, we have 3 carbon atom, and we have the hydroxyl group. Now, the second step is to identify the longest carbon chain of this structure. Can I have Nur Hazira? Can you point out what is the longest carbon chain of this structure?
3 carbon chain.
Alright, thank you Nur Hazira. So that is correct. The longest carbon chain is 3C. Now, let's move to the third step, which is to derive the alkane name of the carbon chain. So previously, Hazira says the longest carbon chain is the 3C. Now, can I have Umi Humara to tell me what is the alkane name of 3 carbon chain?
I think propane.
Alright, thank you Umi Humara. So that is correct. The name of 3 carbon chain of alkane is propane. Now, let's move to the next step, which is to replace the suffix "e" in alkane with "ol". So we have the structure here, and Umi Humara says the alkane name is propane. So if we change the suffix "e" with "ol", what will the new name of this compound? Can I have Nurul Ain Balkis?
Propanol.
Thank you, Nurul Ain Balkis. So that is correct. So if we change the suffix "e" into "ol", it will be propanol. Now, the final step of these naming rules is to count the molecular formula. So this is the general formula that I have provided in the previous slide. So we have CnH2n plus 1 OH. Then we listed out what are the atoms that this structure have, and then we have the hydroxyl group over here, so we wrote the OH, and then we need to count how many carbon atom this structure have. So let's count together. So we have 1 carbon atom, we have 2 carbon atom, and we have 3 carbon atoms. So we have C3. Now let's count the hydrogen atom of this compound. So we have 1 hydrogen atom, 2 hydrogen atom, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 hydrogen atom. So the molecular formula of this structure will be C3H7OH. But if you are not sure with your answer, you can check it by using the general formula I have provided. So N will represent the number of the carbon. So we have 3C. So for the hydrogen atom, 2 will be multiplied with 3 carbon, and then we will add with 1. So the number of hydrogen will be 7. So that is how you make sure your answer is correct, by using the general formula. Now, to test your understanding, I have provided some questions for you to answer. So students, there are 2 questions in here. Please answer it on a piece of paper or on your iPad, and then post it in our WhatsApp group. Alright, so I have Zulaika's answer, Balkis' answer, Batrisha's answer, Hazira's answer, Umi Humaira's answer, and Niza's answer. Right, so everyone have submitted their answers. Now, let's take a look on your answers. Right, now let me ask on question 1. Can you explain your answer in question 1A? Can I have Nur Hazira?
Can Miss? Can you hear my voice, Miss?
Yes, Nur Hazira, I can hear your voice clearly.
Okay, so my answer is I stated in my paper because there are 2 carbon atoms. So I wrote 2C, and each C is attached to 5 hydrogen atom, and 1 carbon atom is attached to the hydroxyl group, which is OH. Is it correct, Miss?
Yes, thank you, Hazira. So your explanation is correct. So we have 2 carbon atom, and each carbon atom is attached to the hydrogen atom, and 1 carbon atom is attached to the hydroxyl group. So thank you, Hazira. Now, what about Nurul Islamiza? Can you explain your answer in question 2A for the first compound only? For this compound, how do you get your answer?
Okay, first step, I draw the structure. Then I identify which is the longest carbon, which is 4 carbon. And then I derive the alkane name of 4 carbon, which is butane. And finally, I change the suffix E into ol. And then the last name will be butanol.
Alright, thank you, Nurul Islamiza. So the name is correct. However, for your molecular structure, you miss on 1 hydrogen, so please correct it later. Alright, now let's take a look on Batrisha's answer. Can you explain your answer in question 2B for the second compound? How do you get this answer?
Alright, for that question, there are 5 C in total. Therefore, 5 times 2 plus 1 equals to 11. Therefore, I get C5H11OH.
Alright, that is correct, Nur Batrisha. So you can use the general formula, or you can just count it one by one from the molecular structure. So I believe everyone understand on what they do. Now let's move back to our slides. So before we end our class today, let's just make a brief summary on what we have learned. So today we have learned about the hydrocarbon. So what types of hydrocarbon have we covered in today's lesson?
Alcohol, wine, and alcohol.
Alright, thank you everyone. So we have covered on alcohol, and what is the functional group of an alcohol? Can I have...
Hydroxyl.
Alright, thank you for your answer. So the functional group of alcohol is hydroxyl. Next question. Can I have Zulaika Sofia? What else do you know about hydrocarbon? Can you explain about the suffix changes?
The suffix changes for alcohol from E will be changed to OL.
Alright, that is correct. Thank you, Zulaika Sofia. So for alcohol, the suffix E of alkane will be changed to OL. I'm sorry. So this will be OL. So the suffix E of alkane will be changed into OL. And finally, students, how many steps did we learn today?
5.
5 steps.
Alright, thank you everyone. So we have learned on 5 steps, which is the first one is to draw the molecular structure, and then the second step is to identify the longest carbon chain. The next step is to derive the alkane name. The fourth step is to replace the suffix E of alkane with ol. And finally is to count the molecular structure. So I think that is the end of my lessons. Please do your own revision, especially Islamiza. And if you have any questions, please ask me in the WhatsApp group or you can ask me personally. Thank you, everyone.